Two people, same city, same struggles, same darkness pulling them under. One finds a way out, the other stays trapped, drowning in the same cycle, year after year. What separated them was not medication, not therapy sessions, not willpower. It was a single Japanese principle, buried for centuries, that rewires how the human mind processes suffering. And if you are watching this right now, feeling that weight in your chest, that emptiness that follows you everywhere, you need to hear this. Because what the ancient Japanese understood about depression will change everything you thought you knew about healing. Stay with me. This is not another self-help trick. This is the difference between surviving and truly living. Chapter 1. The Two Paths. Let me tell you about Sarah and Michael, both 32, both living in the same apartment building in Seattle, both battling the same demon, depression that felt like drowning in shallow water, constantly gasping, but never quite dying. Sarah woke up every morning with that familiar heaviness, the kind that makes your limbs feel like they are filled with concrete. She would stare at the ceiling, already exhausted before the day began, thinking the same thought she had thought for 3 years. I cannot do this anymore. The shower felt like climbing a mountain. Getting dressed felt like preparing for battle. She tried everything. Antidepressants that made her numb. Therapy that felt hollow. Self-help books that delivered guilt instead of relief. Michael, 3 floors down, opened his eyes to the same feeling. That crushing weight on his chest. That voice whispering that nothing matters, that he is broken beyond repair. He had lost his job 6 months ago, not because he was incompetent, but because he could not get out of bed, could not focus, could not care. His friends stopped calling, his family stopped asking how he was doing, because the answer was always the same: I am fine, which everyone knew meant I am drowning. But here is where their paths diverged. Sarah did what most of us do. She fought it. She tried to power through. She set alarms, made lists, forced herself to shower, to eat, to pretend she was functioning. Some days she succeeded. Most days she failed. And every failure made the darkness heavier, the voice louder, the weight more unbearable. The worst part was not the depression itself. It was the shame. The belief that she was weak, that she should be able to just snap out of it, that everyone else managed to function and she was the only one too broken to handle basic existence. Michael discovered something different, something that felt wrong at first, counterintuitive, almost insulting in its simplicity. He discovered Naikan. Chapter 2. The Principle That Breaks the Cycle. Naikan is not what you think. It is not positive thinking. It is not gratitude journaling. It is not telling yourself everything is fine when it clearly is not. Naikan is a Japanese practice of self-reflection, developed by Yoshimoto Ishin in the 1940s, rooted in Buddhist principles but requiring no religious belief. It asks 3 questions. 3 questions that sound almost too simple to matter. 3 questions that, when truly understood, dismantle the architecture of depression itself. Question 1. What have I received from others? Question 2. What have I given to others? Question 3. What troubles and difficulties have I caused others? Sarah, when she first heard about Naikan, dismissed it immediately. Gratitude practice, she thought. I have tried that. It does not work when you are this broken. She had notebooks full of gratitude lists. 3 things she was thankful for every day: sunshine, coffee, her cat. Empty words that changed nothing, that made the depression laugh at her attempts to fight it with positivity. Michael thought the same thing, but he was desperate enough to try anything. So he sat down one morning when the weight was at its worst, and he asked himself the first question: what have I received from others? And here is what happened, something that research from the University of Tokyo would later confirm, something that neuroscience is only now beginning to understand. His brain shifted. Chapter 3: The Science Beneath the Surface. When you are depressed, your mind operates in a closed loop. Neuroscience calls it rumination. Your thoughts circle endlessly around your pain, your failures, your inadequacy. The same neural pathways fire over and over, deepening the grooves, making escape feel impossible. Depression tells you a story, and that story has one character: you, alone, failing, worthless, trapped. Studies from the National Institute of Mental Health show that depressed brains show hyperactivity in the default mode network, the part responsible for self-referential thinking. You become trapped in your own head, analyzing yourself, judging yourself, condemning yourself in an endless loop. Naikan does something radical. It pulls your attention outside that closed loop. Michael sat there, asking himself what he had received from others, and at first his depression fought back hard. "Nothing," it whispered. "You have nothing. You are alone. Everyone has abandoned you." But he stayed with the question, and slowly, quietly, things emerged. His mother, calling every Sunday, even when he never called back. Leaving voicemails that said, "I love you," even when he deleted them without listening. His coworker bringing him coffee without being asked, saying, "Thought you might need this," with a smile that expected nothing in return. The barista who smiled at him, who remembered his order, who treated him like a person even when he felt like a ghost. The mailman who said good morning, the neighbor who held the elevator, the stranger who let him merge in traffic. Tiny things, things depression had trained him not to see, things that seemed insignificant, but were actually threads connecting him to the world. Sarah, meanwhile, was still fighting, still trying to force herself to be happy, to be productive, to be normal. And every failure reinforced the story her depression told. You are not trying hard enough. You are weak. You are broken. She would make elaborate plans. Tomorrow, she would wake up early, go to the gym, eat healthy, be productive. Tomorrow, she would be different. But tomorrow came, and the weight was still there, and the failure felt like proof that she would never escape. The weight grew heavier. Chapter 4: The Shift. Michael moved to the second question: what have I given to others? And this is where Naikan becomes dangerous to depression, because depression survives on a specific belief that you are a burden, that you take more than you give, that the world would be better without you. Michael expected the answer to be nothing. He expected confirmation of his worthlessness. Instead, he found something else. He remembered holding the door for someone last week. He remembered texting his friend back, even when it felt impossible. He remembered doing his job, showing up, existing in ways that mattered to someone, somewhere, even if he could not feel it. He remembered helping his neighbor carry groceries. He remembered listening to his mother talk about her day, even when he wanted to hang up. He remembered feeding the stray cat that wandered by his apartment. Not grand gestures, not heroic acts, just small moments of presence. Depression hates this, because depression needs you isolated, needs you believing you are nothing but a drain on the world. Naikan shows you the cracks in that story. Sarah was still trapped in the old pattern. She would have good days, days when she felt almost normal, and then the depression would crash back in, harder than before. She started believing that this was just who she was now, that the darkness was permanent. She looked at people who seemed happy, who seemed functional and felt like a different species, like she was fundamentally broken in a way that could never be fixed. Michael kept going with the practice, every morning, even when it felt pointless, especially when it felt pointless, and something began to change. Chapter 5. The third question. The third question is the one most people resist, the one that feels unfair, almost cruel to ask someone who is suffering. What troubles and difficulties have I caused others? When Michael first asked himself this, his mind recoiled. I am depressed, he thought. I am the one suffering. Why should I think about the pain I have caused? But he stayed with it, and he saw. He saw his mother, worried sick, not knowing how to help him, lying awake at night, wondering what she did wrong. He saw his friends pulling away because his silence felt like rejection, because they did not know how to reach him anymore. He saw his own withdrawal, creating ripples of hurt in people who cared about him, his absence at family gatherings, his ignored messages, his broken promises. This was not about guilt. This was not about self-blame. This was about seeing himself as part of a web, not isolated from it. This was about understanding that his existence mattered, that his actions and inactions had weight in other people's lives. Depression tells you that you do not matter, that your presence or absence makes no difference. Nikon shows you that you matter so much that your pain radiates outward, touching everyone around you. And if your pain matters, so does your healing. Sarah never asked this question. She stayed focused on her own suffering, which felt enormous, all-consuming. And the more she focused on it, the larger it grew. She felt justified in her isolation. I am protecting them, she told herself. They are better off without me. But isolation only fed the depression, made it stronger, gave it more room to spread. Michael asked it, and it hurt. But it also gave him something Sarah did not have. A reason to keep going that was not about himself. Chapter 6. The Transformation. 6 months later, Sarah was still in the same place, still waking up heavy, still fighting the same fight, still losing. Her apartment was darker, her phone stayed silent. Her days blurred together in a gray fog where nothing mattered and everything hurt. Michael was different, not cured, not suddenly happy, but different. He still had bad days, days when the weight came back, when the voice returned. But the practice had created something new in his mind, a pathway out of the closed loop. When depression said, "You are alone," he could answer with evidence. With the daily record of what he received, what he gave, what he affected. When depression said, "You are worthless," he could point to the web of connections his practice revealed. When depression said, "Nothing matters," he could see the ripples of his existence in other people's lives. Naikan did not make the depression disappear. It gave him a way to relate to it differently, to see beyond it, to recognize it as a story, not the truth. Research from Osaka University tracked people practicing Naikan for depression. Within 12 weeks, 73% showed significant reduction in depressive symptoms. Not because they fought the depression, because they shifted their relationship to it. Sarah heard about Michael. She saw the change in him. Not that he was suddenly glowing with happiness, but that he seemed present, solid, like he had found ground beneath his feet. She asked what he had done. He told her about Naikan. She tried it, and at first it felt hollow, mechanical, pointless, but she kept going because Michael told her the secret. It works when you do not believe in it. It works especially when you do not believe in it. Slowly, the same shift began in her. Chapter 7. The Truth About Healing. Here is what most people get wrong about depression. They think healing means feeling happy, feeling light, feeling like your old self again. Naikin teaches something different. Healing means seeing clearly, seeing your connection to the world, seeing that you are not the isolated failure depression tells you that you are. You are part of an infinite web of giving and receiving, affecting and being affected. You matter because you exist. Your presence creates waves. Depression wants you alone. Naikin pulls you back into relationship, not with grand gestures, not with forced positivity, but with simple, daily recognition of what is already true. You have received. You have given. You have affected others. These are not opinions. These are facts. And when you document them, when you sit with them every morning, the story depression tells begins to crack. Sarah practices Naikin now, every morning. She still has depression, but the depression no longer has all of her. She sees her mother's calls differently now. Not as obligations, but as gifts. Evidence that she matters to someone. She sees her own small actions differently. Replying to a text is no longer just a task, but a thread connecting her to another person. Michael continues. The practice has become part of his architecture, a foundation that holds even when everything else shakes. He found work again, not because the depression disappeared, but because he could show up, could be present, could see beyond the closed loop. Neither of them are cured, but both of them are healing. And there is a difference. Chapter 8. Your Choice. You are at a crossroads right now. You can keep doing what you have been doing, fighting the depression, trying to think positive, waiting for the day it magically lifts. Or you can try something different, something ancient, something proven. Every morning ask yourself 3 questions. What have I received from others? What have I given to others? What troubles and difficulties have I caused others? Write down the answers. Be specific. Do not force positivity. Just see what is true. Do this for 1 week. Just 7 days. You will not feel better immediately. The darkness will not suddenly lift. Depression will tell you it is pointless, that nothing will change. But something will shift. A crack will appear in the closed loop. A pathway will begin to form. And that pathway leads out. Depression makes you believe you are alone in the darkness. Naikin shows you that you have never been alone, that you are held by a web of giving and receiving that existed before you suffered and will continue after you heal. The ancient Japanese understood something we are only now rediscovering. Healing is not about fixing yourself. It is about seeing yourself clearly, seeing your place in the world, seeing that you matter. If this resonated with you, if something in your chest shifted even slightly, subscribe to Zen Mindset. Because we are building something here, a community of people who refuse to stay trapped, who are willing to try ancient wisdom that works when modern solutions fail. Hit that subscribe button. Join us, and remember this. You are not broken. You are not alone. And the way out is not through fighting harder. The way out is through seeing clearly. Welcome to Zen Mindset. Your transformation starts now.